Thanks a lot, everyone. Hope you had a good lunch till now, and we'll start with a kind of a pressing issue or challenge that the sports media ecosystem is kind of facing: how to win and retain viewer retention in an increasingly fragmented landscape. And fragmentation obviously impacts everyone: broadcasters, clubs, the league, and obviously also the fans. And the solutions, in my opinion, are not just in innovative strategies or new technologies, but also, as Daniel also referred to, in collaboration and alignment across those different stakeholders. And that's why it's pretty great to have you guys here today, because we have all those stakeholders represented here from the Benelux. And for this session, we're focusing on the broadcasters. We have three very interesting panelists in the panel, all with a broadcast background, but with different angles. So we have Michiel Ameloot, Editor-in-Chief of DPG Media, home of linear broadcaster VTM, but also digital platform HLN. We have Bruno Boniton, Head of Partnership Development and Sponsoring at Proximus, Belgian telecom operator, and Martijn Hendricks, Head of Streaming at NOS, a public broadcaster in the Netherlands. I will skip the short introduction part, but I think you will be able to give some introduction afterwards, and I think everybody knows your companies and maybe knows yourselves as well. So let's kick off maybe with challenges. We're all facing the challenge of fragmentation. It's reshaping how sports content is being distributed, how it's being consumed, and there's maybe also opportunities in those challenges. And let's start by understanding how it kind of impacts your respective businesses. So Martijn, let's start with you, if that's fine. How has fragmentation kind of changed the way you interact with your audiences? What kind of challenges do you face? And also maybe from your perspective as a public broadcaster, maybe there's some particularities in that sense.
Yeah, we are the first of all, thanks for having me. Sorry for the delay, but the Dutch trains are infamous for that. We at NOS, we are still lucky that we have very much sports rights, the Euros, the World Cup, and the Olympics. We are happy to broadcast them, so for that we're still happy. And we at NOS, because we are a public broadcaster, we think it's also very important to give attention to a lot of sports. So from athletics to swimming, well, zwemmen is with the Z, so from A to Z, but it's the S in English. That's kind of hard to reach your audience because we have a fragmented variety of sports. But we think the big sports, for football, for instance, you can make a combination. So the people watch football and they get the judo, the boxing, and well, smaller sports with all due respect in between. But we see the age of television viewers is getting older and older. The Tour de France at television was 66 last year, so that's really old. So we have to find new ways of reaching people. I brought three examples. The first one is a WSC example. We started our collaboration during Qatar. I brought a slide on. So there were 64 matches, and we reached 2.3 million people with that. So those were new fans for us because they didn't know how to reach the NOS. And there was a small button. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Yeah, cool. So this is the one box feature, and we arranged 57.2 CTA. So almost 60% of the people who saw the World Cup footage on Google, so they typed in a World Cup related search term, and they went through to watch the game live at NOS. So that was very helpful for us, reaching a new, hopefully younger audience. The second one is a WhatsApp channel, which we started. We have now 100,000 followers on that channel, and last summer we did a small poll on our followers, and we learned that 30% of these people who are under 18. Those are babies for us, so we were very surprised with it, and we put our sports news up there. And the third one is our new streaming app. We built it for Samsung and LG televisions, and also we work together with the biggest two largest cable companies, Ziggo and KPN. So everybody is now they can watch all our live streams whenever they want. So at a Sunday afternoon, when we are broadcasting a baseball match at television, we have the swimming, cyclocross, and speed skating at our live streams, and those numbers are adding up, and sometimes they are bigger of the people who are watching the live streams than watching the linear television. So people can now make their own decision, and they can see the sports at the big screen in the living room, and that's how we try to keep the people there. Sorry, long answer, but
no, that's perfectly fine. Very interesting. Very interesting. It kind of you find different ways in kind of getting to your audiences. So that's I think very relevant. Michiel, maybe same question for you. Also regarding the kind of the impact of fragmentation, but also from your specific perspective. You're obviously a linear platform, but also a digital platform. So, and I guess managing those two and balancing that is quite difficult. So how do you kind of leverage the traditional TV to then drive audience to your digital platforms and vice versa as maybe a solution to the fragmentation?
Well, first of all, I don't know if everyone here knows our media company, but we're with our sports team. We are responsible for the biggest newspaper in Belgium, but also the biggest digital news platform with 2.2 million readers a day. And we are also providing every live sport on our linear channels, VTM, VTM2 until 4, and VTM Go, and also a sports section in the news on VTM News. So we have so much luck that we have all these different tools to make people aware, make viewers aware, make fans aware that live sports is on one of our platforms. And we continuously guide people via cross-promo, via VTM News, whether it's Watch Live Tonight, the Champions League on VTM2, or on the radio news, which we have also the radio channels. But even we're the rights holders from darts, and every time darts, there's a live darts game on VTM4, there's a push notification from HLN. So we have so much luck that we can use all these tools to make people aware. But it's very interesting what you say, how can we reach the younger people? Because we also, of course, have problems to reach those younger people. So that's why we are now investing in how can we reach them, how can we get them to watch our linear live sports coverage or our digital live sports. So
the WhatsApp example
yes.
is already one, I
Yes.
think, with
Yes.
the age under 18. So quite amazing. And for people that don't know DPG, you leave here the hotel, you look to your left. My orientation isn't great, but you will see it with a huge screen, I think, and it will be very clear, the building right there. So thanks for that. Bruno, then also kind of different angle, different business model. You're obviously a telco. You have not just an advertising model, but also a subscription model and lots of ancillary services, I'd say. How do you see the challenge of that fragmentation, and also the role of new platforms, OTT platforms coming in? Do you see that as a challenge or otherwise?
Thank you for the invitation. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm working for a telco company. So as a telco company, I will also explain a little bit to you today why we think that connectivity enables new sports fan experience and can bring also new content to fans. On the fragmented aspect of the sports offer. So for us, it's very difficult to link our product and to have an emotional bonding with our product, with the fans and with the customers. So content is king there, and especially sports, because live sports, it's amazing what it gives us viewership. So we have decided to aggregate the different sports offer, actually. We want to have a one-stop shop for the customers being able to watch what they want as sports, entertainment, but sports also. So in our offer, and that's funny, but those two channels are also distributed on a Proximus/Pix platforms. So it's very important to be able first to attract people in our services. And so we have different kind of free offer in our basic TV, so all the important channels. We create also content that we bring to the customer. And then when you attract people, you have also to engage them. And that's very important to have a good UI where people can find what they want to watch. And you have to give also good recommendation. That's very important to support also the different partners, especially the local partners here, to be able to reach the people and to give them what they want to watch, simply. I think all of you have already experienced the issue to find a movie in the evening, when you go to Netflix, Disney+, HBO Max, and so on. The solution that we try to provide is to have one-stop shop, easy to find the content you want to watch. And then we try also to sell some stuff. We have the Champions League, we have also players like DAZN. For these people have to pay, so it's important also to put it in the platform at the right price, but also to convert people from free to paying. That's key. Funneling is very important, so we are working with the different partners also to go from free content also on OTT or on the web, and to bring them on the platforms and then to sell them products. So I think on the OTT aspect and the fragmented aspect, we don't want to fight against that. We have integrated, for instance, Netflix years ago because we think that it's important to move with the market and not to go against the market. So we integrate as much as possible the sports content on our platform to offer the right content to the customer.
Cool, thank you. Very clear. Moving towards this kind of aggregator role is, I guess, an opportunity for a telco in this fragmented landscape. Makes a lot of sense. We tackled we talked about the challenges, but let's now dive a little bit deeper, maybe in some of the innovative strategies or ways of kind of tackling those different challenges to stay relevant and find access to those new audiences. Michiel, maybe starting with you. I think fragmentation kind of made it clear that fragmentation of media rights made it clear that collaboration between the different stakeholders is more and more needed, and that kind of alignment across broadcasters, leagues, clubs is quite key, but is also difficult. And we've discussed it at many occasions already in the preparation of this panel, but also outside of that. What's your take on that, and how do you see the way forward? What kind of opportunities or advice do you have?
Well, it's funny, but when we acquired the live rights of the Red Devils, the national team, back in 2018, everybody in our company was very excited. The editorial team, of course, but much more the commercial team, sales, marketing, and immediately I got a lot of questions. Can we do something with Eden Hazard? Can we get something with Kevin De Bruyne? And it's a traditional media company, of course. So that's why I'm telling this. I immediately had to disappoint everyone. We paid a whole lot of money, but not for those kind of rights, only for the live rights, of course, and the pre- and the post-match interviews. So that was a real disillusion. But we found a solution immediately, and luckily at the RBFA there was Manu Leroy, busy on his new assignment there, and we immediately found each other, and we started to build a partnership between the RBFA and DPG Media, in which we created all these things that we wanted that became possible. Exclusive interviews, the arrival of the Red Devils when they came to Belgium for an interland week. The boys are back in town, and a commercial shoot so that our commercial colleagues could do everything with the Devils. Not only VTM, the linear channel, but also HLN and even the radio stations, Q and Joe. So everybody got one piece of the biscuit, and we all were we had the Red Devils really as rights holders, but also the team the closest to the heroes. That was what we made possible thanks to Manu and his team. And we also had several similar partnerships with clubs. It's also possible with clubs. I remember having a deal with Club Rouge during summertime last year. We had an agreement on some friendly games where we broadcasted the games, 3 of the 4 each on our own channel, with the 4th one only on HLN with a discount for the club IDs. What I'm trying to tell is that we, as a traditional media company, but media company as a whole, we have a lot of tools for clubs, for federations, to give something back, because in exchange, the federation could use all our platforms, all our brands, to shout out what they are trying to do with the RBFA and all these other actions and so on. So we have to see each other as partners in this story. And I'm convinced that when you see each other as partners and you work together as partners and you have the connection, you can tell the story to the viewer, to the reader, far more worthy than when you're working next to each other. And of course, it's a thin line between the editorial side, because they have to be entitled to work independently and give their analysis and so on. So that's thin line, but you have to be professional, of course, which is sometimes not that easy. But I'm convinced that the partnership as a whole is far more worthy than to not look at it just because of the editorial piece.
Yeah, great, and I think that's what we see currently in Belgium across clubs and federation and leagues. Moreover, like, everybody's working on their own content and their own have their own editorial team, media house. But I think now more and more they're finding ways to find the collaboration amongst themselves. Is that something that you also recognize in terms of collaboration? I don't know, in the Netherlands, is it similar, the collaboration with the...
No, yeah. For me, I'm enjoying your story, but for me, as a journalist working for a public broadcaster, it's kind of impossible to make partnerships with clubs and federations, just because we have to do our work as a journalist, and it would be very hard for us first doing a nice spot with Frenkie de Jong or Virgil van Dijk, and 2 minutes later twist the camera and make a journalism interview. So, well, I'm kind of curious, how are you doing that? But let's save that for yeah.
It's very important. There's a difference between the national team and the clubs. But the clubs, you don't have the same participation, the same partnership. The clubs, it's two different. So the clubs get they get media value where they can show something of their new Champions League campaign, for example. But it's not the journalists that have that are doing the commercial shoot.
No,
of course. But we do have exclusive interviews, and that's an editorial part of the partnership.
But sometimes it happens. The Dutch Federation thinks that we are asking not the wrong questions, but after a victory of the Dutch team, we can ask questions that football players doesn't like anymore. And I think that's good that you are not too close to each other. But sorry, your question was?
No, that's perfect. That's an answer. And I think you still ask difficult questions to the federation, I think, right?
I believe we do. A lot of examples lately.
Let's save those for later then as well. Bruno, maybe you can jump in if you have a specific example there as well. But I also want to go ahead.
Just on that side, I think on our side we need the communication power of the partners. You take the Belgian Federation; we are also partners, but they have much more power on the communication and the link they can create with fans than what we can tell a story. So we need always to work with the partners. One example, in the past, we tried to make some recycling stuff. So people bring their mobile phone and they get a discount for tickets for Brugge of Charleroi. We have tried to communicate it by ourselves. The results were not very high, but at the moment that Brugge or Charleroi have communicated about that, the same action, same discount, 20, 30 times more reach. So it shows how the engagement of the fan come from really from the federation, the clubs, stuff like this. So for us, it's key.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And what kind of opportunity do you see specifically around the fragmentation? You've touched upon, I think, the aggregation part, which is clear, but also then beyond, how do you play a role as a telco in innovating the fan engagement? And always it works better with examples, so maybe you have some concrete examples there as well.
Yeah, I don't know if some of you knows the village called Gooix. Maybe I say it wrongly in Dutch, but that's a small village in Flanders where they tried since years to create a nice cycling race. But the issue is that's complicated for sponsor, complicated to get production, to get images about it. And we came with an idea with them, so we made a test 2 or 3 years ago, I think, to produce the content, the races via our network, 4G and in the future 5G network. Why is it interesting and why we bring a solution also to the fans to get new content? Because people wanted to watch these local races, but it was impossible for them to be in contact with it. So we bring production, and at the finish line you had a screen where you can follow the races. With 4G and 5G production, meaning that you don't need a flight, you don't need an airplane, you don't need an helicopter, you just need some moto with some cameras. So it's very cheap, 70% less expensive than what was done in the past. And we gave it to the organization. Thanks to that, they have more sponsors, they have more viewership, they have more people on site because you can follow the race. So I just want to show you that, okay, fragmented viewership is important because people want to watch lots of stuff. It's not always easy to bring the content to the customer, so we have solution to bring the content to the customer and to create local ecosystem with that. We are working also with some other federation or leagues to develop that, but in cycling, that's the first example where, okay, you can really make something and the difference for us. That's an opportunity for us.
Clear, very clear. And you're also playing, I mean, you're also responsible for everything which relates to sponsoring. I can see that kind of link there as well with the evolving landscape or of sponsoring and how people want to build that connection. Is that something where you also see that evolution?
Yes, and again on digital, but the federation is here. So yesterday, the Red Flames were qualified for the Euro, so congrats to them. And as partners, we wanted to make something special during this match. So in the past, we had a lot of physical activation. So you can reach 1,000, 2,000 fans to activate them, give them a picture or a goodies or something like this. Thanks to the digital solution we have, now our objective is to reach much more people at the same time at the cheapest way. And so what we have made, we made a shooting with the Red Flames, and we have created an app. You can, I'm not sure it's already published on the RBFA, but you can find it there. So you just click on the app, on the QR code, and then you can take a picture with the Red Flames, but interactive. So it's really an AR environment. It's simple, very difficult to create a correct app, but it works. And thanks to that, we don't reach 2,000 people during a match, but we can reach 50, 100,000 people. That's the dream, but that's something that we can bring. So fan engagement, there are lots of possibilities thanks to digital and for different sports also.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Martin, you've already touched upon, because I have the example of OneBox and the TikTok channels. I don't know if you have in those examples or maybe other channels some learnings that you want to share or some things that are worth sharing here with the different stakeholders.
Yeah, at NOS I'm also looking forward to the future, but it's hard in the public world to change things. During the last Euros, we had one video on TikTok. We reached 30 million accounts with only one video. It was from Mbappé meeting some other players behind the scenes, And with that one video, we reached 10 times more people than 4 weeks the whole tournament on the radio. So, and it was just one guy uploading a video between his lunch and going to the bathroom. Just
why did you
in
stick
40 in
Why
40
did you
seconds.
stick to one?
Sorry?
Why did you stick
No,
to
of
one?
course
with
we
those results?
published a lot more, but only that one video reached 10 times more audio than the whole traditional radio with 2 live commentators broadcasting every 50-ish matches live. So I'm going to my bosses, knocking on the door. Guys, we have to bring all the 40 people from the radio towards other platforms, and let's stop making radio because nobody's listening. We as a public broadcaster, and I'm curious how you guys are watching to a case like this. We have to move on and not stick to all because in 10 years, nobody's listening radio anymore. If you buy a new car now, or if you bought one 5 years ago, it's super hard to find a radio. Everybody is listening an app or connect their iPhone to it. So, the public broadcasters is a little bit old-fashioned. So we need to move on because otherwise, in 10 years, nobody's is listening or viewing anymore to the traditional parts.
And out of curiosity, then, how many people are currently working more on the digital side, on social media? And
I think our radio team is around. Well, this I should have looked it up in the train. I had enough time for it. Now I think there are 30-ish FTE working for radio, including commentators. During a Sunday afternoon, I think around 25 people are working for NOS Live Radio because we have commentators all at every stadium. And on that same Sunday afternoon, we only have 1, if we're lucky, 2 social media editors. So,
how different is that? I'm looking at you also,
totally not
Michiel.
different.
It's totally
the
not different.
same situation.
I'm lucky. I can.
No, it's the same situation. It's the difficulty we are struggling with as well.
Yeah.
And we see the opportunities.
But for you, it's not. For me, as a public broadcaster, it's harder to change. But isn't that you can say, okay, let's move on to the social because our people are the viewers are there, then the younger people are there.
It's logic, but logical. But our company, which is a traditional media company, it's different from a public company, but still, we always say we don't want to make those big tech companies even more bigger.
That's true.
And we want them on our platform. We're big as well. But that doesn't count for the younger audience. That doesn't count for sports. That doesn't count. For news, I can understand this strategy for sports, live sports coverage. It's another issue, and I totally agree with you. If you have, we also have a lot of people working only for the newspaper. If we would shift them towards social media, we would easily reach far more people, far more younger people than we reach now. Let's drink a coffee afterwards.
Nice. That's I think that's the goal of the session as well.
No, it's true that we have the same problem with the social media platforms because we do not want to make the American, most of them are American platforms bigger. And in the Netherlands, we have the NOS and we have all the other broadcasting companies working as a public broadcast, and we have the NPO as the main, the big boss up there. And they want to. They have another strategy as we at NOS because they want to get every people to the NPO platforms, and we want to be there where the audience is at YouTube, at Meta. So we want to broadcast our sports rights also on YouTube. If the UEFA or the FIFA says, "Please, NOS, go ahead," and then our neighbor says, "No, we want everybody to to watch at our channels." That's hard sometimes. No, most of the times.
Clear. I think it's a good segue maybe to the next section because we've been speaking about how to engage with audiences, but then how to create kind of sustainable monetization models in that fragmented environment, and how are you kind of navigating across the different ways of distributions, VOD, SVOD, AVOD, and beyond. And linking to what you just said, how do you balance out reach versus commercial goals? And maybe that's obviously different for you as a public broadcaster, but I'm interested maybe, Bruno, if you could give us some more insights there, because you talked about the funnel, right?
Yeah, but the funneling, I think I just told in the beginning of the panel, but I will take an example, actually. Champions League, for instance, where it's fragmented also. If you look at the last match day that they will be played, so it will be 18 matches at the same time. Very complex, because we need to produce it also in 2 languages, so imagine how many channels, how many commentators you need. But if you lose one fan of one of those games, then we will have an issue, because they pay for it. So that's the complexity, to bring all the content people want to watch, but they pay for, so you have to have solutions. And we have multi-live for people that want to watch quasi all the games, but it won't be possible to have 18 matches. And next to that, okay, we will also produce the other matches, but maybe on the internet, maybe on our platforms, but just with the idea that we can reach each fan of football. But we do it because we are a pay TV platform. It will never be the same approach, I assume, for a broadcaster, where you have to concentrate your advertising stuff. We don't have advertising on that side. So voilà, that's how we do. We try to really bring all the content to the customers. And here, technically, it's a test, so we will see what will happen. And maybe we will not do it in the future, but it's important to bring all the content. And so we spend lots of money for that, but that's key for us.
Yeah, that testing and learning is probably a very crucial part of the job.
Yes, and we see that we believe that we are complementary to the broadcasters, for instance. We don't do the same jobs. We are happy to have them on our platforms, but they generate money on advertising and stuff like this, on viewership, where next to that, for the leagues, we can bring money thanks to the pay TV aspect. So it's really complementary, I think. Sometimes it's not easy, but normally it's worked well with the broadcasters.
And on the other hand, we need broadcasters like Proximus here in Belgium, and Ziggo and KPN in the Netherlands, because they're also giving our live streams. They publish it on their home screen, so when you switch on your set-top box, you can see the small sports immediately on the start screen. So that gives a big push to those small sports, which we want to broadcast, and why we think NOS is there. So that's a good way of working together.
And I think we bring reach also to some local sports. I think we miss in the place. So for Belgian basket, for instance, we try to give them as much as possible reach, and so we put it in basic TV for lots of match, just to have reach, to stimulate sponsoring and stuff like this. So it's also a test. So I'm not saying it's everything is perfect, but that's a way to support also the sports that needs viewership.
Yeah, for them, I think reach is the priority rather than anything else. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Maybe Michiel, specifically for you here as a kind of 360 degree, and you describe it, you're a 360 degree kind of content creator. What have you learned about monetizing both traditional and digital platforms, and also maybe again linking to the partnership side with the clubs and the leagues? How does that fit in there?
Well, I told it before. Don't underestimate the power of collaboration. If you collaborate, and what you said as well, when those clubs communicate, you see it directly on your own platform. The people that come into, so it's a matter of collaboration, and then if that is created, then the power we have with our different platforms, we can distribute everything, and we can make the viewers aware, the readers aware where the live sports or the sports can be viewed. So that's my conclusion. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned it maybe a little bit, Bruno, but you are also a connectivity player. How do you kind of leverage connectivity in those relationships with the different platforms?
Platforms and also I think with the clubs or with the federation, when you go to a stadium now, you are in contact with Proximus, when you order a drink at the bar via your mobile phone, when you watch the highlights of the games, you are a customer of us. So we bring solutions, but the idea is to go and to do it more with the clubs. I take always the example of the football clubs. Today, the experience in the stadium is not really perfect, and what we can bring as telco, I come back on that, is that we provide solutions to the clubs, enabling them to bring new customer experience. And believe me, with 5G, it will be amazing what we can do and what we will be able to do in the
Give us
in
some
the future.
ideas. What will be happen?
What
will we see?
All the interaction, and I think your mobile phone, or maybe something else, sunglasses or whatever, that will really be your companion device for your experience of live or non-live. It will be the same in a concert, the same in a stadium. But I think you will use it to improve your experience. And lots of examples, but already today you can manage your tickets, your ordering. I don't know if you went to the Olympics, but there were lots of digital interaction there. So it's for security also, for instance, it's very important in stadiums to have a good security for the fans. Thanks to the digital and your mobile phone, we can control the different where you have an issue, where you can have too many people or not. So those kind of examples are small improvement of the fan experience, but it's a real improvement, and it's a plus, and then it will become really nice in the future.
So the Wi-Fi issue in the stadiums will be no longer a problem.
Yeah,
then.
not always easy. We have it with the Boden Stadium, but that's another story. But
Okay. All right. Maybe to wrap up, let's also kind of look ahead. Fragmentation, we said it, kind of challenges us to rethink how we engage with the fans. Each of you, if you want, if you had kind of one key opportunity that you see for the future of fan engagement, what would that be? I don't know, Martin, if you want to start.
I think it's a pity that in the Netherlands there was a small company. It was called Watch Live Sports, and it was a super easy idea. But after a year of trying and working with all the clubs and the federations, it had to decide, okay, it's not going to work, we have to stop. Real Madrid was sending a tweet. You can watch the live here, and depending on your location, whether you were in Bolivia, the Netherlands, or Hong Kong, it brought you to your go-to channel. Or whether it was a free-to-air, if NOS was a Champions League owner, or it was a subscribe channel, it brought you to the exact location. So no matter which location you were, and I thought, wow, this is a super good idea, because when you now go to the website of the UEFA, it's so hard to find out in which country which broadcaster is going to broadcast the Champions League matches. So it was a super easy idea. Depending on your location, it brought you to the exact location, and nobody wanted to talk with this company.
I remember them though.
Yeah,
it's been like 2 years or a bit more even. I think I was speaking to them. Yeah, I remember that. Makes sense. I think we discussed a lot about fragmentation, but obviously the word is findability. I think for the content, and that's a huge problem. And that's
so if we can, that's a good one. If we can't solve fragmentation, we have to solve findability. Yeah,
exactly. Do you have
for us the biggest opportunity is to listen to our audience. What do they expect from us? What does the reader, the viewer expects from us? So we did in the first part of the year, we did a big survey, a big investigation with readers and viewers, and there we found out that we work for two different people, two different profiles. We have the sports addict, of course, but we also have the what we call the HLNer. The one that only reads sport when it's there, when something happens. If Remco Evenepoel crashes, like yesterday, then the HLNer has to be served, but also the sports addict. So that was very important for us, that we can do something with in the future. But we found out what they want from us. They appreciate us because we are the fastest one. We're live. We have the news, and when we initially came together with the Persgroep and Medialaan, we thought, oh, it's simple, we need reach and we need subscriptions. But people, sports addicts, are not. We asked them, where are you willing to pay for? For what are you willing to pay for? And they said, we're not paying for news. And you must know that we put all our stories, our bigger stories, behind paywall, but no one wants to pay for that. So we are trying to find out why you want to pay for it. And they say, yeah, if you have an exclusive interview, maybe we will want to pay for it. If you have premium sports rights and on your digital platform, maybe we will pay for it. So now we are investing in sports rights in a digital way, apart from the linear. So we are trying now to do something with amateur football, which people appreciate a lot, and we have a lot of new subscriptions thanks because of that. It's a partnership with Voetbal Vlaanderen. So they want a clear match center for us, just simple things. And don't forget, they appreciate us because they have this. They can interact with us. They can interact with each other. That's something they really appreciate. If we want them to see us as a love brand, we have to work on those things. So if the opportunity is just to listen to your audience and not act as the inside-out journey, but really do the outside-in journey from the viewer and the reader.
And I guess you have that connection because of the interactivity. Doesn't only play on the sports side, but I think you have that interactivity across
on
your platform where you can, even if it's politics, even if it's
really simple. People can give their opinion, and of course, you have to watch the opinions, of course, which is very important. But it gives them the feeling that they can. That they can give their opinion on something, and we are now ready to explore this even more in the near future. So, listen to the people.
Interesting.
Yes.
I won't speak about technology or connectivity this time, but actually the emotion is important in the fan engagement, and find a story to tell to people is very important. You can have lots of content if you don't do anything with that, it doesn't work. I mean, one of the best examples was Formula One 5 years ago, and where they are now, with what they have created on documentaries and then series, that's amazing. If we can do the same with some of our partners, actually, and tell the right stories to people, then we will create emotion, we will have engagement, and create emotional bonding for our brand. I mean, we have it with the U21, for instance, with the Belgian Federation. We broadcast it, but we don't do enough on storytelling on that side. And I think we can do great stuff. We have the future generation of maybe the next world champion. So how can we tell it to the customers and to the fans? We have that in different sports. Our role as Proximus is to tell those stories on Belgian athletes, so that's important. Same with Paralympics or Olympics. It's very important to create this emotion. People will watch the content if they believe that in the story that you are telling. And that's what I hope we will do better in the future.
It's very relevant. I think the example of Formula One and Drive to Survive has been used so often, but then you see afterwards that many have tried to replicate it, but they lack a bit the authenticity that came with it, I guess, to a certain extent. So it's not as straightforward to kind of build that narrative and build that story. I think it's really difficult.
The partner will do it for us. We will support them, but again, we are a telco company, not a real media company. But they have the knowledge and they have the fan engagement. And they know their fans.
Yeah. Can I add something small?
Sure.
Because you were telling about watching the game together and enjoying the moment. We are now broadcasting the soccer matches of the Dutch team on a different channel with other commentary, especially for blind people or people with the vision impaired. So it's two commentators totally describing what you're seeing. So it's some people ask me, well, you can listen to the radio. That's the same. No, it's not the same, because if there is a strange guy in the crowd with a cheese on his head, they're saying, oh, we're now watching a strange guy with a cheese on his head. And some matches we reach 100,000 people just watching the second commentary so in case of accessibility, I think for media, there's still a lot of there are big opportunities. So what Apple is doing on their iPads and iPhones for accessibility, I never thought about how can you use your Apple Watch if you only have one hand. They totally make it possible just by tapping with your fingers. So I think that's still for media companies like NOS and all the others, we still have to make steps. We can make a lot of steps in that world.
Okay, clear, very clear. Thank you for the example. We'll wrap it up, and maybe we'll have time for some questions. I think in terms of learnings from this session, I think obviously we've seen that the challenges of fragmentation, they kind of need new innovative strategies, and we think about the kind of fan engagement examples that you gave. Also, we learned that collaboration will be key, and I think everybody mentioned it here. And a lot of the examples also refer to the Belgian Federation, and Manu is speaking here afterwards. But I think that's pretty key, and it also lies in opportunities and changing our business model. I think that's what we've seen with Proximus and the way you kind of play the aggregator role and the service provider that you want to be for the clubs. So very interesting. Thank you.